The fingers were feared across the known galaxy. They weren't just warriors, they were executioners, assassins, and champions of an unbroken lineage of destruction. For thousands of years, no species had ever defeated them in combat. Their name alone sent shivers through those who understood the brutal efficiency of their kind. Their fingers, long, blade-like extensions of their bodies, were not just weapons. They were precision instruments of death, capable of slicing through steel, bone, and even energy fields with a single motion. They moved faster than the eye could track, striking with the speed of thought, dissecting opponents with surgical accuracy. Every cycle, the fingers hosted the greatest combat tournament in the universe. Warriors from all species came to test their strength, but none ever left victorious. The longest a challenger had lasted was 3 minutes. That warrior, a genetically enhanced gladiator from the Titan colonies, had fought valiantly, dodging, weaving, striking back. But in the end, he died screaming, his body reduced to a lifeless heap in the blood-soaked sands of the arena. Then came Earth's turn. Humans had no business in galactic combat. They were weaker than the reptilian warlords, slower than the insectoid hive killers, far less durable than the rock-skinned behemoths of the Outer Rim. They relied too much on their technology, ships, guns, machines. Hand-to-hand combat, that was a fool's game for their kind. They would be slaughtered. But somehow, Jason Reese was standing in the center of the arena. Jason wasn't supposed to be here. He had never fought in an intergalactic tournament before, never faced creatures with reflexes beyond human comprehension. He wasn't a genetically modified super soldier, nor was he enhanced with cybernetics. He was just a man, a former military hand-to-hand combat specialist with a record of surviving impossible battles. But surviving wasn't the same as winning. Not here. The bookkeepers sneered as they took their bets. The odds were beyond impossible. 1 in a billion, maybe worse. The warlords chuckled, placing massive wagers on how quickly Jason would die. Would he last a full minute? Would he even get a chance to strike before his throat was cut? The lights in the arena dimmed. The air vibrated with the anticipation of the bloodthirsty crowd. From the far end of the Colosseum, the first warrior entered. The Finger was an obsidian-skinned being, its body sleek, its movements unnervingly precise. Its hands, longer than its torso, twitched in anticipation, each digit curved into a sharpened edge. It wasn't just a fighter, it was a living weapon. Jason exhaled slowly, watching. The alien moved first, a blur of motion. The moment the match began, it struck. A streak of black cut through the air, its fingers slicing toward Jason's throat. No human had ever dodged an attack from a finger warrior before. Jason didn't dodge, he leaned, just enough. The alien's fingers missed by a hair's breadth, a fraction of an inch. The crowd gasped. The warrior's head snapped in confusion, but there was no time to process the moment. It attacked again, this time in a flurry of rapid slashes, each one fast enough to slice a lesser being to ribbons. But Jason moved between the strikes like he had already seen them before. Every attack came within centimeters of his body but never touched him. His movements weren't panicked, weren't desperate. They were precise, calculated. The warrior hesitated, just for a fraction of a second. But that was all Jason needed. He stepped forward, right into the alien's reach, something no sane fighter would do. Then, with a single, perfect strike, he hit the base of its fingers. The impact was small, almost subtle, but the alien's body reacted violently. A sharp crack echoed through the arena. The finger stumbled back, its fingers spasmed, its breathing became ragged. Jason didn't stop. He pivoted, launching another strike, this time to the same point, exploiting a weak spot no one had ever noticed before. Another hit, another crack. The warrior staggered. Jason pressed forward. A third strike, then a fourth. A brutal combination of pinpointed blows to the exact same place. The warrior collapsed. Its body hit the ground with a heavy thud. The crowd fell silent. Jason looked up at the massive screen overhead. The timer still ran. 30 seconds. The finger warlords were frozen in disbelief. Their champion, their undefeated warrior, had been dismantled in a matter of moments. Then came the outrage. The warlords stood, their voices booming across the Colosseum, demanding a rematch, demanding to know how a mere human could have done the impossible. Other finger warriors stepped forward, their hands twitching, their movements tense. Jason only smirked. "You made one mistake," he said. The warriors glared. Jason raised his hands. His fingers twitched unnaturally. Then, slowly, impossibly, they began to change. They elongated, shifting ever so slightly, their edges gleaming under the arena lights. His skin rippled, as if something beneath it was shifting, something not entirely human. "You thought I was just a human." The finger warriors stiffened. Some took a step back. Jason's smirk widened. His fingers flexed, just once. Then he vanished.